Hello Math 152 students. In this video, I want to give a brief overview of Chapter 2 and make sure you have the resources you need to get started. Chapter 2 is the first place where we will use the statistical software called StatCrunch, so I want to make sure you know where to click and how to get started. When you're in course content, you have a link directly to StatCrunch, and the first time you click it, you may have to sign a user agreement and then cut off the top there the way my screen is, but you can see you have a couple different options with StatCrunch. There's the option to view datasets from your textbook, and you will use this option in the lab. So you can go chapter by chapter, click the section, and the problems that correspond to the textbook often have datasets loaded in StatCrunch. The other option is to use the StatCrunch website. If you want a blank StatCrunch page, you can choose type or paste data into a blank table. So this last option under My Data brings you to a blank StatCrunch page. So this is very similar to what you will see. Move this down just a little bit. This is very similar to what you will see when you open datasets from the textbook, except you will already have data preloaded in usually the first column, sometimes more than one if you have multiple datasets. So let's go ahead and go back to our Blackboard page. You will be using StatCrunch to do some charts and graphs, and one place you want to look for technology help is in your ebook. So if we open up our ebook, what we want to look for is the technology step-by-step sections. These are gray sections in your textbook that give you directions on how to do the StatCrunch commands. Typically, they're at the end of each section, and you usually have directions for multiple technologies. So your book will give you directions not only for StatCrunch, but Excel, the calculator, and then also a program called Minitab. Really, we only care about doing StatCrunch. If you prefer to use Excel or the calculator, you can also look at those directions. So let's quickly go to one of the examples in Chapter 2. What I'm going to actually do is open up the 2.2 and go backwards to get to that technology step by step. Okay, so at the end of 2.1, here is the gray, looks blue in this version, the box that will give you the step-by-step directions. So for example, in Chapter 2, if you want to create a frequency or relative frequency distribution, you can follow the steps, create the graph using these directions. So you want to make sure you bookmark those pages and make sure you're returning to them so that you're using technology to work smarter and not necessarily doing everything by hand and working harder. So again, let's go back to our Blackboard. And the other thing I want to point out is the PowerPoints. I mentioned this in a previous announcement, but you do have a PowerPoint for each chapter that goes through and doesn't have video links, but does cover the concepts one by one. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Please let me know as you have questions.